So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start personalizing the model a little bit, and we're going to create a component, or in the entourage category, where we start to populate the building with people and animals and things that are personal to a client or to us or something like that. So this is my dog Boston, and we're going to put him in the model. This is not the best picture of him, truthfully. We're taken from a little bit of a higher angle, so it's going to look a little bit goofy in the model unless we're at an elevated angle in the model. So not a textbook image, but it kind of will give you the idea of how to work with things. So I am in Photoshop, and I went to File and to Open, and I opened a JPEG image, and so you can see in my dog's name Boston, the JPEG here. And what we're going to do is very similar to what we did when we did our block exercise. We need to just get rid of the background. All we want to have in this image is the dog. So I'm going to use a couple tools. The first one I'm going to use is the cropping tool. I'm going to hang over the image marquee, and I'm going to just eliminate a big chunk of the image that we really don't need. So once I've highlighted that piece, I'm going to go to Image, and then I'm going to go to Crop and simplify it. So the next part is tedious but not real complicated. We're going to simply erase the background. So to do that, I'm going to hold down the Control key and type in the plus key. As I hit the plus key, you can see that we zoom in closer and closer to the image, and you can start to see how it becomes more pixelated. We can see the different colors and shapes that make up the image as it's we're not going to be super precise for this exercise, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over here and I'm going to click on the eraser tool. And when I click on the eraser tool, you see it brings up a tiny little dot. It's going to take me a long time to erase the background. And actually, what I need to do first is, you see how it made my background blue? We need the background to be transparent. So I'm going to go back to my marquee. I'm going to select the entire image, go to Edit, and Copy. I'm going to go to File and to New and make sure that I have a transparent background. Your screen will look a little different. You'll be able to pick it in a big box over here. We just want to make sure that the new image is transparent and it's being copied from the clipboard. You should see both of those options in whatever screen display you have. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to go up and click Edit and Paste. Now I'm going to go back to my eraser tool. I'm going to zoom in with that Control plus key and catch us back up. Now I should be able to go in and erase, and now you can see the blue and white checkerboard showing up in the back. So important little step to go through, and didn't hurt us that we weren't quite ready. So I'm going to make my eraser a little bigger because this is going to take forever to erase, and we're not going to get too hung up on all the details of his little fur. So up above the toolbar, you can see, or right below the toolbar, you can see some options that help us with our eraser. I'm going to pull down the little arrow next to the 2, and the size of my pixel, you can see I can change that, and it makes it bigger or much smaller. And I'm going to arbitrarily come in here at like an 8 and set it at an 8. We also can make it fuzzy or solid. And I've chosen to use sort of a solid eraser, the cleaner, sort of the easier for this type of component. And now I'm going to go ahead and just simply go through, and I'm basically going to just take some time and trace my dog. Those hairs are a little bit too tricky. I'll give myself a little bit of room and work all the way around the dog, so that I'm basically just trying to eliminate any part of the object that is not exactly part of my dog. And we'll go around the entire thing, or maybe I'll do it, but do it fairly quickly. I'm going to close my history layer box, and you can see as I'm moving my way around the dog's profile, the more time I take and the more accurate I am, the better the component's going to look at the end of the day. I'm going to go through kind of quick. You can see I'm making him a little bit skinnier. There's his tail. I don't want to lop that off, even though he does only have half a tail. And we're going to just work our way all the way around. Even like places like here where there's just a little fur sticking out, I'm going to just choose to kind of ignore that. Because really that kind of detail isn't going to be readily apparent in the model when we're done. We want to really just do our best to kind of make it as clean as we possibly can. This is probably where I should go ahead and just crop away to a completed image. But we're going to go ahead and trace all the way around him. And again, like I said, I'm being a little less accurate than I would be for a finished product, but it'll show you how to make it generally work. And a lot of times the images can be pretty quick and easy to work their way around. There is also a magnetic tool, which I'll show you how to use that too. But because of the fur on the dog, it makes the magnetic tool pretty tricky to use. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of trace them out. Again, I'm not going to worry about all the little stragglers of fur. Although we were going to do a little trick to try and kind of make that look a little bit cleaner before we're done. Go ahead and get right through, get rid of as much as we can. I'm going to give myself just a little bit of distance away. Now, to zoom back out, I'm going to use my Control- key. And we want to basically now just get rid of all the extraneous other information. I'm going to use the rectangular marquee as much as I can, and we'll just delete out kind of big chunks of the model wherever we can and make it work as easily as possible. And if you want to, we can go back to our eraser using Control-D as deselect, and we can come back in and I can go ahead and I can make that kind of a little bit bigger. So it'll once we've gotten around the dog, it'll definitely give us a little bit of a quicker erase and a little bit more of an opportunity to pull out that line work fairly quickly that we don't need. So we're just getting rid of kind of unnecessary image information that isn't going to help us with our component at the end of the day. Now obviously, like between his feet, I'm going to have to reduce my eraser and get back in there and clean that up. It's also sometimes a little challenging when you do this to make sure that we don't accidentally either over erase or miss little chunks of data in the image. That can leave some funny little ghosting in our image at the end of the day. So this last piece between his feet, I'm going to go ahead and shrink up my eraser so I can get in there without messing anything up, which I just did. If that happens, you can hit Control-Z and undo and just simply go back to the step you were at. There are several ways to do this. Sometimes a lot of people like to use something called a mask technique, which works really well. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it at that and just separate the dog from the background. There's also a little blur tool on the outside edge that I like to take advantage of. I'm going to increase the size of my blur tool, and we're going to make it just a fuzzy kind of pen. And I'm going to just go around his ears. You can barely tell that anything's happening, but what it's doing is just slightly blurring that hard line that we created with the eraser tool. So it gives me an opportunity to go through and be a little maybe messier with the eraser and still give my dog kind of that sort of fuzzy look that we want. So once I've done that and kind of cleaned him up and he's ready to go, I can come up to the top and hit File, and we're going to go to Save As. And I'm going to save it again as a PNG, as a portable network graphic, and I'll call it Boston 2. I already had one up there to just demonstrate earlier. Boston 2 PNG, a portable network graphic, and we're going to hit Save. And that portable network graphic will save the transparencies that we have in there.